about transforming and scaling images for a minute. I'm going to hide this arms layer for now. I'm going to unhide the Raven layer. It used to be with Photoshop, if you had brought an image in and you needed to make it smaller, you could do that. You could go to Edit, Transform, go to Scale, click and drag, and hit Enter, or check this checkbox to commit to the transformation. I'm going to undo that. Or you can hit Control T, transform, Control T, and click and drag. I want to make this Raven very small. Do that. Do that, I can make it really small. What if I wanted to make it big again? Like, oh, that's too small. So I'm going to scale it back up. I hit Control T, I'm scaling it back up. Oh my gosh, what is wrong with this? It's all blurry and smudgy. All the detail is lost. It's also, I must not have scaled it proportionately, so it looks kind of squished. This layer's ruined. What do I do? Well, it used to be, once you scaled it down, you could not unscale it. You could not scale it back up without it being messed up. Now, there's something called Smart Objects. If you make a layer a Smart Object before you scale it, it actually saves a copy of it, the original, elsewhere and references it. That way, when you scale down, you can scale back up again without compromising the image. So I'm going to make this layer a Smart Object. It's super easy. You just right click on it and go Convert to Smart Object. Okay, because this Raven is way too big for this scene. Even before the mask, without a mask, I can tell he needs to be smaller. So I've made him a Smart Object, and you can tell it's a Smart Object. It'll have this little icon. It's like a box over like a little page. That means it's a Smart Object. And you can scale it down as much as you want. I could scale it by percent here. I'll make it 1% the size. Hit enter. Commit transformation. There's my Raven. But it's completely pixelated because it's too tiny. But it's a Smart Object, so I'm going to hit Control T, scale back up, or I can go back here, click this so that width and height are the same, put it back at 100, and look, it's perfect. It's still perfect. That's Smart Objects. I'm going to go ahead and Control T. I like to use Control T. I don't like to go to Edit, Transform, Scale. If you hit Control T, it's basically the free transform tool and lets you do anything you want. If I wanted to rotate, I could hit Control T and then hover outside the corner until this little curved arrow shows up and do that. Or I could click this and scale disproportionately. Click these guys on these little anchor points and do that. And all of this can be undone because we made it a Smart Object. Hit enter to commit to the transformation. So I could always undo, but I could also just go back to the original Smart Object and bring it back in if I needed to. Or I could just undo. I could rotate it back. I could try to put it back here. That's pretty close. Do like that. Just undo in my history palette. So whenever you are scaling up or down, I recommend always making your layer a smart object. Okay, that will allow you to use what we call non-destructive scaling. And smart objects are super useful when you're creating Photoshop documents like this and working with different resolution images.